Thank you for joining us in our next episode of the YOTA Know webinar series. And this is co-hosted by Sunstone Credit. So we've kind of broken this webinar into two parts. The first part is sort of a recap of what YOTA Energy does, how we can use our products, what we can do to better serve you. And then the second part is the very fun part where we explore financing options for our commercial customers. So let's dig in here. A little bit about us. Again, this recap section I'm going to fly through pretty quick. We've done webinars exclusively about our stuff. So if you search our YouTube channel, you can find more in-depth webinars there. You can always reach out to us directly as well. But we've been around since 2017. And we make distributed energy products, mainly our SolarLEAF battery being our flagship product, as well as a 4-port microinverter. We focus on the C&I industry, or commercial and industrial. We don't do residential at this time. This is a quick recap of what our ecosystem looks like. So for the typical C&I building, we've got a flat rooftop. Here in the expanded image in the middle of your screen, you see our SolarLEAF battery that has replaced ballast blocks, so no net additional weight gain on the rooftop. And that battery system is designed to do arbitrage and demand savings or peak shaving in real time, depending on the building loads. And that's paired with our dual power inverter. And in kind of it's the safest design on the market and allows the EPC, the installer, and the customer the most amount of options when it comes to future proofing or expanding, and also gets them the design and the system size that they need without overspending. So you can adjust the size of the system exactly to what that customer needs. Each one of our batteries is powered and thermally managed by our patented thermal management system. It's a phase change heat exchange system, which is a fancy way of enabling the battery to perform well in all types of climates, whether it's super hot or super cold. The cooling system, the thermal management system, requires no energy to run. There's no moving parts. So there's actually no O&M for this product. So it's kind of a plug and forget, if you will. The battery chemistry is LFP, or lithium iron phosphate, which is the safest on the market and also gives you the longest number of charges and discharges. So it's got the longest lifetime. This pairs with our microinverter, which is a native three-phase microinverter in either 208 volt or 480. It is rapid shutdown compliant. We are UL certified with 1741 SB, which is important in some of those areas that require that. That's the new certification, so we're good there. And you can attach up to a 600-watt panel to these without much clipping at all. We also offer a 25-year warranty, so it's a fantastic product. Gives you all the advantages of microinverters without that huge cost that is typically associated with micros. So we routinely get praise for when we build out a BOM and a quote for, wow, I thought microinverters were going to be much more expensive for commercial. That's not the case, not anymore. There's been a lot of breakthroughs in technology and the prices come down. So I think you'd be surprised if you quote out a project with us. Just a little bit more in depth about the microinverter. It's very adaptable to different types of racking systems. It's just an easy entry into the C&I space using our microinverter technology. It has advanced monitoring, so down to the panel, and a lot of things that help with troubleshooting. If there is an issue that can arise, it's very cool, very easy. This is a nice graphic that shows how our ecosystem comes together. So the DPI, our microinverter, mounts there with our special bracket that we have, and then the battery system just sits in the ballast tray. It replaces ballast blocks. We do have a quick question I can answer. Somebody says, does the battery have to work with our inverter? The answer to that is yes. A couple images from some of our installations. we vary greatly in size. For Victory Church, this is a small, easy job. It was a 35 kW job. And then we've got kind of rotating around counterclockwise. That's a 275 kW job. The TCDRS project was 160 almost kW job with 52 SolarLEAFs. And then the Polaris job there that we see is a 1.2 megawatt job with the intention to add 500 SolarLEAFs later this year. So when you think about where we fit within the C&I space, we cover a big gamut, maybe larger than you think, where we can go super small. Of course, that's kind of the natural place where people think that we fall into, but you can scale it and still make financial sense even at the larger system sizes. We'll skip the spec sheets, but these are in here for you guys to reference. So we'll just we'll pause here. You can use your smartphone and download the spec sheet by clicking on image of that QR code there. And moving on, you can do the same thing with our microinverter. Use your phone in the top right there, snap a picture, or you can always email us. Our contact information will be at the end of the presentation here. Monitoring is great. It's robust, just robust enough. As the installer, you can see as much as you want, and then you can kind of grant access to the end user for a more limited view, which is nice, and it gives you a lot of freedoms here. Everything's in real time, down to the panel visibility. So this shows one of our installations. It shows you in real time what's the battery doing. Is it charging? Is it discharging? What's the system status? Is everything communicating? So you get full transparency at any given moment of what the system is actually doing and how it's performing. So the next couple of slides is a brief case study, because again, we can go in depth with our own products another time. This is really a focus on how we can make commercial jobs pencil for the customers that might not want to shell out a ton of cash up front, because as we all know, the upfront capital expenditure for commercial jobs can be very large. The savings can be incredibly huge too, but getting a company to fork over the cash up front can be kind of a big hurdle. And if you're adding batteries, that can make that hurdle a little taller. So we're going to look at this case study here next. Here we have a project in California. This is in Northern California in PG&E's territory. This is a NEM3 project. We do have a webinar in modeling the SolarLEAF specifically for NEM3. I highly encourage you to check that out. It goes into why and what and how to bring the maximum amount of savings for your customer. So check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. But looking at this, we've got a 259 kW PV with 300 kilowatt hours, which is 300 SolarLEAF batteries attached to this. Adding those batteries unlocked the availability for the B19 option S rate from the utility company. So if you look over here on the left, I've kind of pulled out some of the key metrics here. The payback is 2.8 years for this system. Their offset was about 30%. Exports being limited by the battery at 4%, but also the battery is doing demand charge reductions in real time. So it's doing peak shaving as well as arbitrage to maximize what rates the customer can capitalize on. Term savings, so the lifetime of the system was 9.18 million, IRR just under 30%. And that net ESS cost after incentives was $136,000. So not that expensive when you think of it. And if you see in the graphic, our prices for the batteries are interesting because that's the installed cost. We do a lot of quotes here and there, and something that we always help is facilitate the ease of install. So we reduce all these soft costs. There's no extra permits needed with our system. You're not trenching, you're not drilling through cement walls, you're not forfeiting building space inside the building because all the batteries are up on the roof. All the wiring is already done through the PV system. You've just really simplified the installation of a battery system, and it makes quoting out projects super easy because you don't even have to do a full site visit to do this. You just know what through their interval data, what size system you'll need, and it makes it incredibly easy. We'll do kind of a compare and contrast. So without our battery system here, the payback system for this was almost a year longer without the battery system, but the term savings was $4 million less if you did not add the battery system, which didn't allow them access to that option S rate plan, which brought a lot of savings, plus the demand charge reduction savings. IRR was lower. The exports were greater, so you're not getting quite as much credit for the PV. So in the end, that ESS was super beneficial, but it required a lot more upfront capital. So not every customer is going to have the appetite for shelling out that much upfront cash. So what do? Basically in any proposal that I present to a customer, and that's either the end customer, the building owner, or maybe it's actually an EPC. We do a lot of work with our EPCs that might not use energy tool base, or maybe they don't know how to model the batteries. So we can help in those situations. I do that all the time. So, reach out to me, reach out to your RSMs. They can all help you do things like that. But my point is, just offering a cash option, there can be some sticker shock, whether it's just PV or PV plus batteries. Sometimes the end customer doesn't really know what they're getting into when they say yes to a proposal. So having a finance option is extremely critical to not shut down that conversation. So moving on here. So just as a recap, I'll get into that. But what's important in adding into your proposal is a finance option, whether that be a PPA or a loan or a lease agreement. Having something else other than that cash option is pretty crucial. And a great partner that we've found is Sunstone Capital. Sunstone Capital is very easy to add to a proposal. It's not complicated like PPAs. You have to ping a bunch of times to get rates. If something changes, you got to ping them again. You wait 2 days for your answer. Sunstone is very straightforward. You can plug it into your ETB proposal or have us do it for you. And it's very, very simple. So we can help with that. We can help with equipment. Obviously, we sell our own equipment, but even if you need access to other stuff, whether that's racking or panels or whatever, maybe you need help with an introduction for getting plan sets done, we can do that. And then ongoing maintenance. We also offer installation support. This is critical for our new adapters of our technology. We will fly out somebody to train your guys or gals up on the rooftop during that actual install. So they'll get on-site training and how to use our equipment. And we'll train on the racking, we'll train on the microinverters. We do all of that to make the entry into our products super simple. So that's it from the YOTA piece. We're going to transition here now over to Sunstone to show you what their products do, what kind of the state of the market is, and how we can win more business from the end customer utilizing these things. Let me introduce. Here is Lulu from Sunstone.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you for the introduction. We are so excited to be on this webinar with YOTA. Super excited and grateful for the partnership. And yeah, we're going to take some time to talk a little bit about the commercial market, opportunities in commercial solar, and of course, how Sunstone Credit can kind of help you expand your commercial solar business. So I think something we should think about, right, is, what is going on with commercial solar? From the slide, I think you guys can tell, right, residential really grew in the last 10 years at a crazy speed. And I think a question that many people would think of is, why hasn't commercial grown at the same speed as residential? What is prohibiting that sector to grow, or even, is there a market for it? So what we do know is there is absolutely a massive opportunity in commercial solar. There is about $1 trillion in the market. And both fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, only 2% of that commercial market has been penetrated, meaning there's so many opportunities out there. There's the space for it, there's the market for it, and really the time is now. So when we say that commercial solar time is now, it's really being driven by 4 major factors. I think the first one, very obvious, utility prices are just going to continue to go up in every state, right? Maybe not in the short term, but if you think about 10, 20 years from now, it's just like, it's impossible for these prices not to continue to grow. And as we know, the time is different now, right? A lot of businesses, companies, we're not just thinking about climate awareness, but also social responsibility, right? And I think this goes a long way. It goes beyond branding and, having, a good reputation. A lot of it also goes to, how people feel, right, about the business. And we can also see this being translated into our policies, which is the next big thing, which is the IRA. The new guidance being released, especially in the nonprofit sector, is really going to unlock a lot of new business for commercial. And we can definitely talk about this later on in Q&A as well. But, one sector that's really going to benefit from this are going to be nonprofits, now that they have direct pay and that they're eligible for additional benefits. And then last but not least, which we think will be the most important in propelling us forward in commercial solar, is going to be more financing options. And this is where Sunstone comes in. So why do we say that financing is going to continue to drive growth? It's because we've seen this happen in the residential market, right? We think back to before 2014, when most of that market was driven with PPAs for homeowners. And it wasn't until solar loan financing was introduced that we were able to see that kind of exponential growth. And everyone knows, I'm sure, that have done resi, knows that residential is somewhat saturated now in the market. And a lot of that was done through loan financing. So we kind of expect the same to happen in the commercial market as well. When Sunstone first started as a company, we spoke to many, many residential installers. And these people have done commercial projects in the past. These projects were mainly financed by cash, or for larger projects, had also been mainly PPAs. So with Sunstone coming in, being able to offer solar loans, we expect the same thing or the same type of growth to happen in the commercial market, essentially opening up this huge untapped market for small and medium-sized businesses. So what is the Sunstone solution? Sunstone was created to really help small and medium-sized business owners have access to I would say, flexible, customizable, easy to use, and standardized financing solution, right? What we do is we pair up with our installer partners. So these are going to be solar installers and developers. And we give you guys the tool to kind of help open up the commercial space and just give people an easy to use product for finance. So when we talk about flexibility and customization, what we really mean is Sunstone's able to offer 6 different loan terms. They range anywhere from 5 to 20 years. Our minimum loan size start at $50,000 and can go up to $5 million. But what this really means is, we love smaller projects. When we think about our target market, we are really thinking about, the local restaurant, the warehouse down the street, or maybe, the dental office. It's for people that really need this. This is what we were created for. Our application process is completely digital. So your customers will never touch a single physical piece of paper in the process. And I think the easiest way to think about us is, for people who have used TurboTax in the past, it is very user-friendly. The process is very simple. And the goal, obviously, is to make it as accessible to everyone as possible. We do offer two types of loan structures. One is going to be a standard loan, which works very much like a mortgage payment. And the other one designed specifically for solar and very similar to residential. We also have a special payment loan. So this one does have the 30% ITC built into the loan. And by selecting this option, customers are going to get lower monthly payments as well as lower interest rates. Our interest rates currently sit at anywhere from a 3.99 to a 8.5. But the good thing is, our rates are fixed. So whatever the customers see on their loan agreement, that is what's going to be the same interest rate for the lifetime of that loan. Another great thing is our product is really business focused, meaning the whole process is a little bit detached from the owner or the person that's really involved. We don't run personal credit. Personal guarantors are taken, they're I would say occasionally, but it is not part of our standard process. And our collateral is on the system itself. So we don't touch people's properties and we don't touch their mortgages. All right. Oh, I see a question come in. Yeah, so this brings us to the next slide. We definitely absolutely work in all 50 states. Here we can see where most activity is occurring. So right now we have received applications from 38 states and actually executed loans in 23 states. I don't think the map should be a surprise to anyone, but yeah, these are the most popular states that we get loans from. And yeah, and it's kind of obvious, right? If we think about it, it's gonna be the states with the higher utility prices that we're gonna see the most commercial solar.
I think Lulu, this is a great slide too, because I think a lot of these, you do well obviously in the high solar adapting states, but also those states with lower rates from the utility company, often a PPA doesn't cover it. It's just not, it won't pencil. So what I've found in modeling with you guys is PPA won't make sense, but a loan does. And especially if you stretch it out to 20 years, you've got an incredible value here.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and also PPAs were always designed for bigger systems. So it's great to, have an option for, businesses that have, maybe a smaller system and they don't want to use that cash or use that cash elsewhere.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So this is the last slide, but I did want to share some insight into the commercial market. So this is a breakdown of industry based on the types of loans that we have received. Something I guess very interesting is, real estate is an obvious one, a lot of rental properties, but a growing industry, which isn't listed clearly, is actually also the nonprofit sector, which is listed under other. And we also have been doing a lot of healthcare. So medical offices, like I mentioned, dentist office, private practices, etc.
Yeah, I want to add onto that comment about the nonprofits. Previously nonprofits just didn't have very many options when it comes to what their finance products they could choose from were. And now with the direct pay and the special payment plan from you guys, is really a match made in heaven. You've got some nonprofits that have huge expensive utility bills. And now we've really unlocked that in kind of the simplest way. It used to be so complicated. Now it's so much more streamlined. I love this. It's really opened up nonprofits for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I just see a question. Yes, we definitely lend to nonprofits. So if you guys do have a project, please send it over. We're happy to take a look at them. And that is it. I guess we can move on to Q&A.
Well, thank you for that, Lulu. That was a great presentation. One of your earlier slides said that there was a lack of growth in the C&I when compared to residential, and residential for years has had so many great finance products, but not so much in the C&I space. So again, just going back to the simplicity that your product brings and the ability for me just to throw it on every proposal by default has really been awesome in making that conversation easy with the end customer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. And that is our goal, right? Like the whole point is to make things more accessible. And, and it seems like we are achieving that. And we want to continue to do that, in the future.
Okay. We can go through, please, keep popping in your questions in the Q&A. And we will go through those. I'll go through with some of the ones that we've already typed an answer response to, but maybe you didn't get a chance to review those yet. Does your battery have to work with your inverter? Yes, they communicate with one another. Are your microinvertibles available without procuring the battery? Absolutely. You can do a solar only with our micros. We've got plenty of those. We like to call those storage ready. And you can sell that to the customer by suggesting that, and this happens all the time, utility companies change their plans. A lot of utility companies are introducing TOU rates in places that previously didn't have those. Adding battery storage after the fact can help get around those changes with utility companies. So yes, you can deploy our system with just the micros, add batteries at any point later. Is the YOTA product training free? How does that process work? Yes, it is free with the first installation with us. So, communicate with your RSM, and when you place an order, make sure you're very transparent about what your target install dates are, and we'll schedule it with one of our trainers in-house. Does Sunstone work in all the US states? Yes, all 50 states. Will Sunstone loan for nonprofits? Yes, absolutely. Going back, let's see here. Michael Martin wants Lulu's email. Yes, I believe we have a slide with her contact information.
Yeah.
Dealer fees. Yeah, Lulu can share dealer fees with you if you reach out to her directly. Again, a point about the dealer fees, which I found very helpful, is adding them into the total project cost, so you can get extra ITC on top of it.
Yes.
So make sure you're doing that. How many Sunstone systems are YOTA? We've got a ton in the works. Let's see. Nameplate working temperature. We can go over that Alex, if you want to reach out individually.
Yeah, I see the point. So we actually have someone on our team that actually focuses specifically on policies regarding the IRA. So for people that have questions about, very specific businesses and how they can take advantage of these credits, please just send me an email. The contact is on a different slide, and I will link you to my colleague who can definitely walk you through it.
We've got a question. Thank you, Lulu. We've got a next question about technical support. Like, our technical support is located here in Austin, Texas. So you're not calling overseas. You're calling somebody that works right here in our headquarters in Austin, Texas, and no wait times for that as well. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. A question about a specific project in Miami, Florida. Please reach out to us directly for that, and we can help you through that. How to determine storage capacity given energy consumption. That's another thing that we can help with. Using interval data, which is pretty crucial, we can create a model and determine how many batteries we'll need for that, to take advantage of what utilities have available or what their demand charges are, et cetera. It's very complicated. So, let your RSM take care of that. How long does it usually take to get an application approved by Sunstone? Lulu, that's for you.
Yes, great question. So right now, a fully completed application takes about, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks to be decision. But I do want to be very transparent. When we start to venture into larger loans, I would say maybe 1.5 million up, those would take a little bit longer and probably closer to 8 weeks.
Cool. Now, you will be at RE Plus. September 11th through the 14th. So please stop by our booth and come say hi, introduce yourself. We'll have all of our RSMs there, so you get to meet your particular rep, and we can chat about what projects you may have. Resources, that's me, Mitch Sargent, the BD manager. I can put you in touch with your RSM if you reach out to me directly, and you don't fall within my region, which is California or the West Coast. Here is Lulu's contact information. So
yep. We will also be
give her an email. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to say that we'll also be at RE Plus, so we'd love to meet people in person. So shoot me an email and we can set something up.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for attending. That was a great webinar. We really hope you reach out, utilize our resources and Sunstone's resources. We're really kind of changing the way we go after the C&I world. So help be a part of that. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.